Today I effed up by not telling my kids what a bidet was before it was too late USA. My kids are young. We live in a location that simply doesn't use bidets enough USA. I decided, you know what? I'm going to try it. I'll get a crappy one, and if I hate it, I'll feel sad, but no major loss. And that's what I did. I bought one on sale for $25. You know, the kind that have two settings, sprinkle, and tear you a new butthole. Well, we've enjoyed it thoroughly through the pandemic, and my wife refuses other toilets during messier months. I no longer have to use hordes of dude wipes to clean the magic marker down under. Well, guess what? The kids don't usually use the master bathroom, cause the main one is a little closer to the family room. Cue my poor toddler. The main bathroom was in use, and the poor little twerp definitely wasn't going to wait. He shot into our bathroom and quaintly took care of business. And then the screaming. Oh Judas, the screaming. I thought he'd fallen and smashed his femur while on fire or something. My wife and I rushed in as quickly as possible, and discovered the back wall was being fire hosed by the bidet. The toddler was clenching his eye. It's a half bath, so water was everywhere. His eye was in rough shape, and we had to take him in. The doctor couldn't help but laugh, because he said it was the third incident since the pandemic began where something similar has happened, likely due to complete unfamiliarity with bidets in general here. Please teach your kids what it is instead being a dumbass, like me. TLDR installed a bidet in the States where it's less common. Didn't teach my kids about it. Toddler got shot in the eye for a nice doctor visit. A few years ago we went to Italy when our daughters, who were about 5 and 8 years old. My wife got a fantastic room near the Pantheon with an upstairs loft with its own bathroom. Our 5-year-old came downstairs telling us about the awesome kid sink in the bathroom. She was disappointed to learn the truth. I had my first encounter with bidets in Italy too. Where I'm from, we use hand showers for more control, so this weird half toilet with a faucet threw my entire family off. I figured out how to use it when I saw it later in some vintage porn. Always keep learning, whatever the source. Vintage porn. The cradle of human learning. You know, the kind that have two settings, sprinkle, and tear you a new butthole. Trying not to laugh about this in public and currently choking. Worth it. Enema dispenser. Ha ha ha, oh man. I was just happy he didn't use it as a drinking fountain. That's what I was expecting. Oh, it's not an emergency eye wash station. Gotcha. Improvise, adapt, overcome. OMG. Today I effed up by spraying myself in the face with my bidet. And I am 30 years old. I was literally coming into the sub to post my story and yours was front and center. Unlike your toddler, I have no excuse because 1, we've had it for a couple years, 2, I use it regularly, and 3, it was my bright idea to test it when the door wasn't squatting down right in front of the bowl. Oof. You know you like it. Now spend a little scratch and get one with a sit sensor. I mean, the hose sprayer ones are way more flexible, especially if you're a woman. The toilet seat attachment ones sacrifice some functionality for what they provide. I just can't imagine spraying cold water on my yawn. That's why they usually have adjustable water temperatures and pressures. You can just say menstruation. It's not a bad word, it just is what it is. Normalizing natural bodily function to take out the societal shame attached to it is important, especially if you're raising kinds. If you have boys, you want them to learn about menstruation so they can be helpful and empathetic towards menstruating women in their life. If you have girls, you want them to learn that menstruating is normal and nothing to be ashamed of. I legitimately had no idea what Op was talking about when he said messier months. I sort of assumed maybe the wife had cyclic diarrhea only some of the time. Thanks for this comment. Having periods, or having a partner who does, isn't a thing anyone should need to be coy about. Lamau, the cycling diarrhea had me dying. True story. While in the military in Thailand they brought us porta potties that had porcelain toilets and bidets in them. Well, we are all 19 or so. Had no idea what they are. So we thought they were for your hands or something and had a water gun fight with the bidets. My sergeant comes over and says, "What the hell are y'all doing soaking wet?" And laughing I say, "Having a water gun fight with the cool squirt gun." Sergeant, his face dropped to the floor. He turned bright red and began to laugh so hard he cried. And he said, "Those are to spray your asshole, not to spray each other, you assholes." And I got made fun of for a good 3 months. Hey, a guy I used to work with thought he was being sneaky by using the toilet in a new work trailer that nobody had found and was supposed to be locked. For some reason didn't realize it had no water in the bowl. When it didn't flush, because water line wasn't installed yet, he got a plastic bag and picked it out of the bowl and tried to use toilet paper to mop up the rest. He got called the turd burglar for a long time when they found out. Ha ha ha. Messier months. Your wife's cycle spans months? I also laughed/shook my head at this wording. Not pointing things with triggers at your face is a lesson you learn exactly once, though, and far better to learn it on a souped-up water gun than anything that could cause even more damage. Did you just bring trigger discipline to a bidet thread? Yes, they did. If it weren't for Crocodile Dundee, I would have likely spent many more years of my life without knowing what a bidet was. I'm in the States and have had one for almost a decade. We introduced our son to it when he was 2. He's 5 now and definitely prefers to go at home than anywhere else. Yeah, dude. I can't believe there are people who only use TP to clean up. Gross. We have one built into our bathroom from the original owners, and we've both sworn we will never go without again. That said, it has 2 water controls and a center one that turns on the geyser. Early on, when learning the controls, we'd turn the water on first before taking the throne. Someone forgot to turn the center valve off. Got the full face geyser spray. I'm Italian and all of us has a bidet in the not a mobile one. A bidet attached to the wall and linked to the hydraulic system just like the toilet. It's amazing, especially in what you define the messier months. _ego. I had a bidet in my old condo and my friend/neighbor came over to use my bathroom for whatever reason. She had no idea what a bidet is, just came out all timid and shocked and asked, "What's wrong with your toilet?" I went in to check and there was water splashed everywhere. She's 42. Did she pick up the bidet, wonder what it is and decide to shoot it everywhere? This reminds me of how scarred I was as a kid when I woke up to a giant freshwater crab in my room. I lived in the mountains. I didn't know what it was at first, until it tried to attack 4-year-old me after I approached it. It jumped and brushed the hair in front of my face, narrowly missing my nose. And that triggered little old me to scream bloody murder all the way to my parents' bedroom. I learned to never approach weird clicky things that get stuck in your toy box at 2 a.m., particularly when you haven't even turned the lights on yet. I am sorry, a what in your what? Q. Bidets are the speep. I feel like there is room for a pun somewhere in there. For decades we've sat and shat on them. Today they rise up. My toddlers flooded our tiny half bath with ours. The jet of water was getting the ceiling, walls, door. The floor was a giant pool of water. Fortunately, I had a thick bath mat style rug on the floor in front of the sink that absorbed a large amount of it. It was spraying for at least 10 minutes before my toddlers said something to me about it. Bidets are very common here in Japan and we have always had one at home and my kids have always seen it. And still they've hosed themselves with it. Bro, this is hilarious. I could definitely see my 5-year-old doing this lol. If we're being honest, I could see doing it. Yeah man, I could see John Cena doing it too. So you're telling me the cheap 25 bidets are half decent? Do it. I think I spent like 35 on mine but so worth it. What's a dude wipe? Musk scented baby wipes. Is it a brand? I think so. Just a higher price tag. It's like $1.50 for a package of baby wipes at Target. Dude wipes at Target are $2.99. Geez, I come from a country where bidet is ubiquitous. Can't you perhaps get the plumbing done so that the water pressure doesn't have to lift rockets to Mars? In here they don't tear you a new asshole or anything. Messier months. You mean weeks, right? Are you 12? It's called a period. Visited Japan. I have a bidet now. My parents took me and my cousin Sarah to Italy when I was 15 and she was 14. We girls had a room to ourselves, and my parents had their room. In the hotel we stayed in, there was a bidet, which neither of us had ever seen before. She thought it was a foot basin of some sort, so being the dumbasses we were, we shaved our legs over it. Whatever, we were idiots. Fast forward to the next morning at breakfast. She says something about it, and my mother tells her very quietly what it is and what it's for. Sarah looks very shocked, but drops the matter. Later that night, after we'd been out walking all day, she went in to shower, and I was sitting on our bed watching whatever was on TV on the one channel that was in English. Next thing I know I hear a loud shriek from the bathroom. I went and pounded on the door and she comes out wrapped in a towel looking mad. I ask what happened. She glares at me and she's like, the bidet is not my friend. Funniest memory of the whole trip. TLDR, my cousin thought a bidet was a foot washing basin while we were in Italy, and found out the fun way that it's not. Sti incivili che non si lavano il culo pensando di essere I pi furbi del mondo. Messier. Months? Your wife might need to see a doctor if her period is lasting months. LOL. For future reference, the nicer and expensive bidets are worth it so you won't have to experience this ever again. Ha ha ha. Don't have a toddler. First usage of a bidet was at the beginning of the pandemic. No similar accidents, but man, we love the bidet. At primary junior school, I was about 8 and was trying out for the school football team. They had a different changing room I'd never been in before. After the session, I noticed a weird, low water fountain. It wasn't like the other fountains around the school, but I was thirsty. I'd been running around for half an hour. Just as I took a mouthful, the teacher yelled, "No, that's not drinking water, it's a bidet." So I go home and ask my mom what a bidet is. It's what posh people use instead of wiping their bums. Why? This was 89-90, they weren't common over here. I don't think I brushed my teeth for about an hour that night and literally drank mouthwash. And here I thought it was going to be one of these situations. I've always wondered, do these things actually work? Do you use it together with a washcloth or something? I mean, that stuff is kinda sticky. Can't imagine getting all of it off with some water spraying on there. There's a reason much of the rest of the world uses them. You get way cleaner with much less toilet paper. The spray is directed and moderately pressurized. It's extremely efficient, and a quick wipe afterwards ensures you're good. You can get a bidet add-on for a toilet for about $25 on Amazon, and they're amazing. Save you a fortune in TP, and after you've used one for a while, not using it is awful. You become very aware of how bad a job TP alone does. I'm almost sold. Been debating for a while, but my hesitation is the water temperature. I know you can get the ones that do warm water too, but that's certainly not 25. Isn't ice cold water very unpleasant? Or do most people not get really cold water out of their cold tap? Where do you live that your water would be ice cold? You can definitely spend a bit more for the heated treat. I'm from an Indian living on UAE, and bidets are common in both the countries. We bought a house that had bidets in every bathroom when we arrived. Whenever friends would bring their kids over, we would discover that the kids thought they were kid-sized toilets. I would have loved to see one get squirted in the face. I love my bidet as long as one of my grandchildren was the last one to use it. My 35 bidet Amazon has a clean mode that flushes the nozzle into the toilet, not at the user, as well as temperature control. House rules are to set it to clean mode and run that on hot after use. So in theory, the next person to use it should have it on clean mode to allow the water to warm up before skin contact. But when the youngins use it, and if I forget to double check, it's a icy ass blast. Suffice it to say that this year the snowpocalypse that shut down Texas for a while taught me to always verify the settings now. I live in Europe and I never saw bidets that did that. It's usually a normal lavatory but in the shape of a toilet, and the tap usually moves around. Never heard anything that sprinkled that bad. That was funny though. Poor kid. It's the dog fountain in our house. Mom/dad, can we get a bidet? You'll shoot your eye out. It's called a period. Until after reading the comments, I thought your use of the word "I" was a euphemism. What's a bidet? I think it's the US president. When I first got this phone last fall, it kept autocorrecting bidet to Biden. How often do you write bidet? During quarantine and toilet paper shortages, there was a lot of discussions about bidets. Having had my bidet for a few years already, I felt qualified to give advice. Funny. There's a shutoff valve that is designed to prevent accidental discharge on most models down where the water supply connects is. Never used one. Don't know how. I swear mine was the best 25 I've spent on a home product. Stupid little hose. But it went from wipe and wipe and wipe and finally give up, to a quick rinse, a pat dry, and hooray. I don't think I have ever read a description of ass cleansing that sounds so victorious. Lol. Bidets just don't sound like I would enjoy them, and I don't understand how anyone does. Because you start realizing how bad a job TP alone does. You know, of course, if you got speep on your hand, would wiping it off with TP without looking at it suffice for you? Of course not. Bidets get your butt much cleaner, which feels way better. Saves enormously on TP, too, which can be very significant if there's wife and kids involved too. Enjoy it? Hey, it's neutral. Like washing your hands. You get used to it really quickly. Check the TP after a couple wipes to make sure you're clean? Of course they do. But, again, if you got speep in your hair, would you be fine to just paper it off until it wipes clean? Or would you maybe rather run it under some water?